In August 2015, Russia reportedly destroyed 300 tons of food from nations which had imposed sanctions on them. These actions have served as an affront to Western countries like the United States, which has spent much of the last century locked into battle with the Soviets. A 2015 poll found that more than 80% of Russians have negative opinions about the United States, compared to 34% in 2012. So why does Russia hate the United States? Well, since the Russian Revolution of 1917, when the US supported the anti-communist side, Russia and the US have been in a fairly constant state of tension. Numerous territorial encroachments, proxy wars, and alternating alliances have set the stage for both countries to fear each other's imperialist goals. In recent years, Russian President Vladimir Putin has called the United States a parasite living off the global economy. Throughout Russia, Americans are given the nickname Pindos. That suggests they are heavily armed and surrounded by technology, but weak and ineffectual without it. This break in relations can in part be attributed to the US's push for sanctions following Russia's annexation of Crimea. A number of problems with Russia's economy, including the collapse of their currency and their inability to borrow money, are the result of US involvement. Amongst Russian citizens, prices for food and basic goods have dramatically increased. Last year, Russia's economy grew barely 0.5%, compared to 4.5% in 2010. Russia is also majorly unhappy with the buildup of NATO forces throughout Eastern Europe following the collapse of the Soviet Union. They see the increase in military bases and personnel as a method of keeping Russia subjugated. There is a considerable amount of propaganda coming from both Russian state-controlled media sources and long-held conspiratorial beliefs about the United States. Many Russians believe that the events of 9/11 were planned by the US government in order to invade the Middle East. And roughly 40% of Russians don't believe that the US ever even landed on the moon. Analysts have also said that Russian hatred of the United States is calculated to strengthen Russian foreign policy. In situations like the 2008 South Ossetia War, Russia accused the US of supporting the genocide of Ossetians. However, numerous reports claim that Russia started the conflict themselves. Russia also said that the 2013 Euromaidan protests in Kiev before the annexation of Crimea were orchestrated by American forces and not simply local civil unrest. As a direct representation of East meets West ideological and political disagreements, the US and Russia are both vying for greater influence. This divide has made Russia an even more vilified figure around the world than the US. A recent Pew poll found that nearly every country had very low confidence in Vladimir Putin, with most negative ratings passing 75%. Even in the Middle East, President Barack Obama polled with a higher favorability than Putin. So why does Russia hate the US? A mix of historical tension, political rivalry, culture clash, sanctions, and heavy propaganda have all made for an extremely hostile situation. Russia is one of many volatile areas in the world. If you're interested in seeing on-the-ground reporting from international conflict and crisis, make sure to check out my channel with Fusion.
We just found the Condor booth. This is the non-lethal weapons company that has been supplying the Brazilian forces. These are a lot of the weapons we've seen during the protests of the past few years here in Brazil. So this is a selection of various less lethal weapons. Condor calls them non-lethal. In the US, we call them less lethal because they are in fact lethal.
Thanks for watching TestTube News. Make sure to like and subscribe for new videos every day.